normally. If we use the vaccine as an example, it's 8 to 10 years easily to get a vaccine to launch. The whole lies around it being available and safe in 18 months or whatever it was, 14 months. It's just absolute impossible. There's no, even if you had multiple teams in multiple sites around the world, you just haven't got the time, because you need that long-term stability and safety data to be generated as well. For them to say it was safe and effective is the biggest lie I think that's ever been told to humanity. It was lockstep, wasn't it, all around the world? It wasn't that safe and effective message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember Biden threatening that unvaccinated people wouldn't get through the winter. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Still here, Joe.
The winter, right? Yeah.
I'm talking about pharma like they were responsible. It was all the Department of Defense, DARPA program. Anyway, pharma were used as a comfort blanket for the public, essentially.
Right.
Would people have taken it if they'd said, "Oh, this is from the US military, from DARPA"? I think a lot of people would have been a bit more skeptical. Whereas the comfort blanket of Pfizer, because they see it on the TVs all the time, it must be safe. It must be reliable. It's got Pfizer's name on it. That's other than offering donuts as well. That's how they got people to take it.
Isn't it so interesting? We started talking about Yeadon, right? We started talking about SVP of Pfizer. All of a sudden, there's crackling, there's echoes. Oh my God, how can you come back? Like,
mention the P word.
Are you talking about the P in Pfizer?
The Pfizer word, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the silent P. Which, I mean, you know all about. I'm reading this insanely awesome bio from you. Biotechnology graduate, University of Nottingham. And you spent 18 years basically working for Big Pharma. Last role, global subject matter expert, where you were fired for whistleblowing about the safety of the COVID pandemic injections. So since then, you've started your own business called Faithwell, supplying natural treatments to people and ivermectin, I can never say this word. Say it. Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole.
There we go. Fenbendazole to treat the explosion of cancers from the jab. And the UK government decided they didn't really like that too much. I never thought I'd live in a world where you can die for telling the truth or even just knowing the truth. So they decided to arrest you. And you were basically forced to leave the UK because you don't want to go to jail again, which I don't fucking blame you. And now you're here with me. We're going to talk about your partnership with Live 5D Health in Ireland. And as well as I know you were previously supplying Mark Atwood and Gary Keeley their health and wellness products as well. So lots of face your shit moments along this journey, I see.
A few, yeah. A few rises from the ashes.
Yeah. I made this piece recently, and it actually reminds me of you. I probably will make it the artwork of this episode. And it's titled, "I'll Be Back from the Dead Soon." And it's great. And it's Fanta black paint and gold leaf, but it's very much the hero's journey. And I think I gotta say, I really admire your courage, because there's a lot of people that could say, holy shit, I'm gonna go to jail. People are after me. I need to kind of be silent, and I need to give this up, and I need to really turn the other cheek and maybe think twice before I tell the truth. And that didn't sit with you, because when you do that, you put yourself in a cage, and you'd rather go to jail than be told that something is true that isn't. Yeah.
I can't. If you're aware of what's going on right now, I don't understand how anyone can stay silent and not want to help, especially what's going on with children. Especially, it seems like an instinct that should be there for everyone, but it's sadly gone AWOL for
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I feel like people became numb somewhere along the way of this whole COVID saga. And really, the COVID saga, I think it was like Danny and Brinkley or someone that said the battle for the souls of humankind will be fought in healthcare. And that's what COVID put a spotlight on, like just the insane marketing, the bought and paid for healthcare system. When did
Yeah.
you, I know you were in, like you were in the industry. When was it for you that you thought no more?
Well, it wasn't until the COVID times. I'd had
Right?
a couple of instances of questioning what I was doing in the pharmaceutical world. Especially as I rose up through the ranks, it became more evident that it was more about profit and timeline than health and safety. But it
Yeah.
wasn't until they announced that the injections were going to be mRNA. That was my fall off the chair, awakening moment. That started everything for me. That just opened up rabbit hole after rabbit hole. Because
Yeah.
I was obviously aware from my role that mRNA had never been used in humans before, because during the animal trials to prove that it's safe to go into a human in the first in human study, the data was always so poor that Moderna were never allowed to do a first in human phase 1 trial with mRNA technology. And then all of a sudden, we're rolling it out to 6 billion people, or whatever, how many poor souls that have taken it. And it's just, what's going on? And that
Yeah.
was it. And I was like, well, this can't be happening. And then my company that I was working for, my firm, Fisher Scientific, said they were contracted to actually manufacture for Pfizer and Moderna. And I was just, yeah,
Yeah.
didn't want anything to do with it, because I saw the clinical data and it was just, well, a genocide waiting to happen, Meredith, as we know. And it's actually been worse than I was expecting, because I wasn't aware of all the oncology aspects from the SV40 viral promoters. And there's evidence and data that's come out that we didn't have at the start from Pfizer's own clinical data. So it's actually been more harmful than I was anticipating, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, with children, I, yeah, as I think, and it's like you said, it's like, where did people start turning it the other cheek when we're committing these crimes against children? It's the numbness has gotten to that point where, people are willing, because of whatever living in this lie affords them, the comforts and being liked and not going to jail, and all of this other stuff, that becomes more important than someone harming a child. Like you were saying, we talked a little bit earlier, and I loved what you said. You said, well, we were talking about all the things coming out, more crimes against children sexually with Epstein files and all of that. And you said, if there was a boy or a girl getting raped in the street, like, would you help them?
For sure.
Right? Right. Of course. People, you would think, I don't know now with these
Well,
people.
yeah, exactly. I would question who would. Yeah.
Yeah.
There'd
But
be
it's,
certainly some people that walk on by, that's for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, and it's a split. I think there's a lot more people waking up. I actually posted that because I loved it so much. And I said, the boy or the girl is the Epstein files. That's what the boy and the girl getting raped out in the street is the Epstein files. The lies about our healthcare system, that's also out in there too. All the connections and everything. So you are the viewer. So if you're going to help them, let's go, because now is the time. And I think what it has done, it started the questioning process, which not everyone has the courage to stand up in those kinds of ways. But when it comes between life and death, I mean, I get social politics and, not wanting to ruffle feathers and all of that, but it's like, you can either be hated for who you are or loved for who you're not. Like, what kind of a life is that? So I think it started people questioning about the healthcare system and about really systems that we live in general.
In general, yeah. Which is
Yeah.
great. People really do need to take ownership of their own health because, as you say, the medical establishment is just put on this pedestal. Even if you look through programming through the media with programs like ER over in the US, and we have something similar here, Casualty, where doctors are made out to be these heroes all the time. So when it appeared to me over here, I don't know what it's like in the US, but as soon as someone puts a white coat on, it's almost like there's like a veil of trust that comes down, and they go into like, I don't know, like they haven't got a brain to think for themselves. That there's such an aura given off by this gentleman or lady in a white coat. And you just hear people telling me their stories when they're going through their cancer biopsies and things like that, and how they almost felt like they couldn't stand up to the doctors because they've got this persona and presence about them. So that's been entrained into our psyche, isn't it, for decades? When really the majority of them are a bunch of monsters. That's the reality of the situation.
And I'm glad you brought that up about the UK versus the US, because I know obviously there's different legislation, there's different laws, but I want to talk about what people like, how drug development actually occurs. Because people assume there's, all of these tests and like all of this research, and the FDA would never do this, and this organization would never do that. And how could they? Because they're real people and real humans working in there. So they're not supporting this genocide that you're talking about. So how are drugs actually formulated, tested, and brought to market?
Oh, it starts off really way before someone like myself or the drug product team get hold of it. It starts off as drug discovery. So, and a lot of this work is lab-based chemistry, modeling, looking at affinities of chemicals to certain receptors in the body, and then using models to predict the pharmacokinetics and dynamics of that drug after. So it's all done with modeling to start off with, and then they do some experimentation on how they can actually produce the drug substance. And this is all before we even get it. Our model really was to look at taking that powder or liquids, because they weren't all powders, and what's the best way of getting that into the body to treat a condition that we're trying to treat. So that was that was my role essentially. So before then, they have to do safety, genotoxicity tests, mutagenesis tests on the drug, and they do a lot of that in animals, unfortunately, for the animal lovers amongst us. And that normally shows red flags from the data that's generated, and that will either kill a compound or a compound will progress to safety in humans if it's deemed safety, if it's deemed safe in animals, of course. That doesn't always happen, unfortunately, Meredith, as we know well from the mRNA vaccines now, because if you looked at the animal safety data for them, it's just atrocious, really. So that's what's supposed to happen. And then the first test in humans is called the first in human clinical study. So this typically is very low numbers of volunteers, 8. It can be 8 to 10 normally. And you normally have 2 on a placebo and 6 on the active. And that's just all about proving safety. Now, if there's any concerns with the safety of the drug, they will do what's called a sentinel group. And that's where some poor soul lines up and goes first, and everyone else stands around and watches for 15 minutes. Because sometimes in the clinic, you can get around and dose 10 people in the space of 15 minutes. Well, if an adverse reaction comes on in the first patient, you might not notice it before you've dosed everyone else. So it's like an extra safety mechanism, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You dose and then wait a while. It's a bit lambs to the slaughterish, but and again, it's, it only happens when there's a mild safety concern going into the study. And the dosing escalations are supposed to be as minimal and as safe as possible, obviously, for the actual trial to be approved. So that's the other thing that people probably don't realize. You've got to apply to ethics committees for ethics boards to grant approval for the trial. And then you've got to apply for the local authorities, whether that's the FDA in the US, it's the MHRA in the UK, or the EMA in Europe, to get approval to actually run the trial.
Wow.
And so there's a lot that goes into it normally. If we use the vaccine as an example, it's 8 to 10 years easily to get a vaccine to launch. So the whole lies around it being available and safe in 18 months or whatever it was, 14 months.
Yeah.
It's just absolute impossible. There's no, even if you had multiple teams in multiple sites around the world, you just haven't got the time, because you need that long-term stability and safety data to be generated as well. So it's just, it was never, for them to say it was safe, well, and effective, is the biggest lie I think that's ever been told to humanity. I'll go as far as.
Yeah.
And it was lockstep, wasn't it? All around the world, it wasn't that safe and effective message.
Yeah.
I can remember Biden threatening that unvaccinated people wouldn't get through the winter. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Still here, Joe.
It's the winter, right? Yeah. Well, I also feel like there's a pay to play element to this because it costs money.
Yeah.
Right. To generate the marketing, all of that. I feel like FDA approved really just means we wrote a check.
Yeah.
We wrote a check. Yeah.
Most of their funding comes from the companies that they regulate. It's about 80% of their funding comes from, because you have to pay for the applications. And I think there was a document that was leaked that Pfizer paid $2.5 million for the EUA for the vaccine. I think that was leaked online, or whether it's a real document, I'm not 100% sure. But with vast amounts of money, and then you're expecting them to come down and regulate you properly when they're paying your wages. It's just so obviously not going to happen. And there doesn't seem to be consistency between companies either. Some companies got preference during the COVID time for approval, because there was actually another US company based out of Boston. They're Oxygen, they were called. Now, they were trying to get an Indian vaccine approved called Covaxin. There wasn't mRNA. There's an Indian-based vaccine, but the FDA just didn't want an egg. So they told Oxygen that they needed to go through the full biological license route, and which is like years. That's what you should have done.
Right.
So why Oxygen get told, you've got to develop it properly, and then they picked and choose Pfizer. As we know now, it wasn't. I'm talking about pharma like they were responsible. It was all the Department of Defense, DARPA program. Anyway, pharma were used as a comfort blanket for the public, essentially.
Right.
Would people have taken it if they'd said, "Oh, this is from the US military, from DARPA"? I think a lot of people would have been a bit more skeptical. Whereas the comfort blanket of Pfizer, because they see it on the TVs all the time, it must be safe. It must be reliable. Pfizer's got Pfizer's name on it. That's, other than offering donuts as well, that's how they got people to take it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. There's so many. My husband, he does a lot of different, he's very theatrical. He does a lot of different voices. And one of them is Fauci. He does. And so he does. I can't even do it, but he's basically saying, well, you won't have COVID because you'll be dead. You'll be in heaven. So you won't, that's how we get rid of COVID. You just die. You get rid of all your problems when you're dead.
Yeah.
It's so great. Yeah.
What a delightful human he is.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you put the white coat on. It's like it could be a freaking demon. It could be like a Charles Manson mass murderer. Put a white coat on. Like you said, put the doctor's lab coat on. Put a stethoscope around your neck.
Stethoscope around you. Yeah.
And yeah.
I thought, because I was doing market stalls with my business mirror, I would jokingly said, I need to just take a white coat. People would stop and talk to me a lot more if I had a doctor's white coat on.
You should
Whereas,
actually.
yeah, because
You
just
should.
engaging getting that initial engagement with when someone's trying to say that pharmaceuticals are doing you harm on their marketing banners or whatever, that getting people to engage with you is difficult. You need to. So if I'd had a white coat and a stethoscope, maybe they would have come and had a chat with me, because people were just judging me without even having a conversation.
I love that. Could be an experiment. And I would highly suggest that you're walking Eden with the white coat on. Okay. Then so we have Eden. We have Eden, who's named after Mike Eden, ex-VP of Pfizer. So that's the lead-in to the conversation. They're already familiar with Pfizer, right? They're familiar with the white coat. They're in a comfortable spot. So it's like, because it's a good point you make. It's like people have to have the ears to listen, the eyes to see. You can't make people see that don't want to see. It's free will, right? But they have to get to the point where the juice of the lie isn't worth the squeeze anymore. Like, it's just not whatever you're getting out of being living in the lie, where it's going to become so uncomfortable. And I don't know that we've gotten to making it that uncomfortable yet. Life seems like, fucking people still going to games, people still going to movies, watching the fucking Golden Globes and all the other shit on TV while the Epstein files are. You're watching the person on TV that's in the Epstein files. That's the world we're living in.
It's crazy, isn't it? England and the UK is a big football country, soccer.
Yeah.
And we've just had the World Cup playoffs and the friendlies. 70, 80 or 1,000 people go to watch England play and sing the national anthem of our beloved king, who's probably highly likely a satanic paedophile. And I'm just like,
yeah,
it's out there in the domain, public domain now. These guys, the royal family, they're all monsters. And yet you'll go, and the people who join the military as well, I feel for them. King and country. What are you fighting for?
Right.
And all the guys going over to Iran now, it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. And the show is getting old. I have my popcorn here. Popcorn.
It's stale.
It's getting stale, okay? It's organic. But we got to keep it fresh. We got to keep it with real butter, ghee, preferably for me, little Himalayan pink salt. But it is getting very stale. And I really feel like with this year being the fire horse year, though, there's nothing that I feel like by the end of the year, and I could be wrong, right? But I'm going to choose to believe that by the end of this year, it's going to look a lot different than it looks now. Whether or not people agree, whether or not you got the jab, whether or not you didn't, it's really beyond that. It's understanding the choice that you made, because how can you even make a choice when you don't even know the choice you're making? You're not even educated in what's in the jab. Like what you're saying, you don't even know, okay, how did this come to market? Who is really being funded? Following the money of all of this too. So it's not even a fair choice. Fine to disagree, fine to choose for yourself. Do whatever you want with your body as a free thinking adult with a fully formed brain, not a child, right? But at least be able to make a fair decision by being educated, because without that, you're just someone else's puppet. You're just someone else's puppet.
Yeah, that's it. And basically made the choice that the doctor is educated for me on my behalf and will not do me harm.
Right.
That's the decision they've made. They put their health and life in the hands of another human. Take it back. You're in control of your own body. Start listening to your body. So many stories of people who said, I didn't want to take it, and like horrible energy in the line and not queuing up for it. It's like, why did you just walk away? Your body, that was your body saying this is not right. But
it was. Well, and there are a lot of people that voice is really active right now and they are questioning. So if you could go back and talk to yourself, talk to the Andrew of the past, maybe when you worked in big pharma, as well
Mm.
as, maybe other people around you who are questioning now, what would you say? What would you say to yourself? What would you say to them?
That's a very good question, because I think I caused myself a lot of damage by almost being too full on with this. Not only did I destroy my career, but I was responsible for a marriage breakdown as well, because I was just trying to wake my wife up. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, because I'm a Mercury baby in Scorpio. So I was like, fight to the death for my loved ones. So I was very much, what's going on? But I like now prefer just to embrace someone else's feelings and try to bring calmness to the situation more than anything. Because the more you try and just bombard with data tables, the more they just push away. And start get them asking the questions as well. That's a great technique, which I saw someone doing in the street, just coming out with a statement and then asking them to question.
Yeah.
And that's what gets people thinking. If you just go to the street and start spouting off to people, they switch up instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get minimal seconds engagement. So you need to get them brought into the conversation. So that there's a few tricks I've learned. Obviously, the Eden's a great one. It's a conversation
Yeah.
starter. But yeah, just to calm this and asking people just to trust their body and listen to their body. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. That's a bit too, wishy-washy for some folk, especially, some of my family in particular. Yeah, that kind of, that spiritual aspect of trusting in your instincts and your intuition. Yeah.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people deep down, their gut was telling them it was wrong.
Yeah.
Just through sheer lack of knowledge. I mean, they obviously, and pressure, coercion. Yeah, the government say they've never forced anyone, but you take someone's livelihood off them, that's force.
Exactly.
There's no ifs or buts about it. That's forcing someone to take it. So,
yeah.
Again, that should have been a bit of a red flag as well, wasn't it? It's when they're trying that desperately hard for you to take it. But it's a toughie, Meredith, because I'm a big believer now that it's when people's time to see it's their time.
Yes.
So I've learned that you just can't. And it was breaking me as well personally. It was damaging my mental health, and I was just getting worried every time the phone. So you've just got to let people go and figure it out for themselves. So it doesn't. In answer to it, try to stay calm. Don't force anything on them. Get them asking questions, but even that, I'm not even sure would work. I think this is such a spiritual war that this is purely about people being chosen at the right time to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's a spiritual workout. We're all being up-leveled, being able to hold the space of knowing the truth, hold the balance of how we were just saying, God, it's so fucking painfully slow for us. The popcorn's getting stale, all of that. But then have the groundedness to be able to be with the lie, to be with the truth, and to live in the lie. That takes a big person to hold that much polarity and that much, because the reality is, on a spiritual level, there is no division. We are all in this shit together. There is no separation. We're in this shit hole together. We're in the problem together. We're going through it together, and we will rise together. And it's like this balance of not, hiding, being able to speak your truth, but not needing other people to agree with you and needing other people to be different than how they are. Would it be great if we were all aligned? Fuck yeah. But we don't have any control over other people's free will, just like you said. So it's an interesting answer. I wouldn't expect that, but it's so true. Yeah, that to just have come at it with maybe a bit more groundedness. And I can relate to that as well. Definitely.
Well, yeah, I just went too heavy. I couldn't, my whole world was just
Hmm. Yeah.
flipped. And I was
Hmm.
dealing with my breakdown of my marriage at the same time. It was just career gone. It was just wild times. So it was a hard awakening for me. Tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was the model sheep, or I was into my sports. I was like my alcohol. It's just,
Hmm. Yeah.
just
And
go to the game at the weekend, go and have a few
yeah.
beers after it. That was me. Fast asleep,
Yeah.
oblivious to everything. Well, I mean, I knew the politicians were a bunch of lying toe bags, but that was about as far as it went. And the royal family irritated me because I'm just like, why are we giving them all our money? Basically, just for them.
Yeah.
I saw the royal family as parasites before this.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, yeah, I was your perfect little slave of the Matrix.
Yeah. But it's cool that you can own that. That again takes a really big person to even go back and say, I think what we're witnessing now is people realizing that, but their ego is so fragile, they got to
Mhm.
backpedal. They know that they're wrong. They know that they fucking harassed people like me and you for
Mhm.
years. But now, no, they're like all of a sudden, oh yeah, I knew. I knew all
Mhm.
along about the Epstein files and all of this. Just backpedal so quick. Um, yeah, it's very interesting, very interesting. But like I said, it takes a big person, but then when you go through something as like really hardcore as you have, where it's very difficult and it's your relationship and like you've been arrested and all of this, you like when it's that hard, it either destroys people or they just become galvanized. Like it's one way or the other. And I think it's the latter for you. I think once you learn the hard way, but it's like when you learn the hard way, the silver lining is you really get it. Like it's really ingrained forever, you
Yeah.
know?
It takes something very serious now to get under my skin, that's for sure. Because nothing is.
Yes.
That's the other thing. I was before awakening. Someone parks near my drive. It's like, well, bicker about something completely pointless. Now it's just like, it's
That
just,
it's fucking nothing.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, doesn't matter.
Spiritual.
And so from that, it's a relief. Like waking up, it's just nothing. You don't care anymore about all that meaningless materialistic crap and all the neighborhood gossip and the latest TV series. It's just noise. Doesn't hurt you,
Yeah.
doesn't impact you in the slightest. So that's a relief in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of day-to-day stresses. So I can imagine young families raising kids waking up, as long as they're waking up together, because I don't know how couples wake up separately, because that's just disaster. But if you're waking up together as a couple and you've got kids, it's an amazing time. The
Mhm.
kids will enjoy the benefit from it because you're less stressed and you see the bigger picture about what's important in life now. You start
Yeah.
teaching kids how to grow their own food. You take their devices
Yes.
from, bury them under the ground somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Well, speaking of on the spiritual awakening level, I want to talk about something that played a huge role in my healing, psilocybin mushrooms, which I know you have experience with. So you've actually worked on clinical trials using psilocybin for depression, for anxiety, with incredible results. So I want to talk about what you witnessed in those trials and maybe changed your mind or challenged your beliefs at the time from the results you saw.
Well, yeah, so this was back when I worked for a company called Catalent. So
Hmm.
US people will be familiar with them. They're a big contract development company for pharma. But they had a site in Nottingham in the UK. And they partnered with a company called Compass Pathways. So I didn't have too much involvement in the actual development of the product. It was a very simple presentation. It was essentially just psilocybin in a capsule. It was a
Wow.
5 milligram dose. And yeah, it went into a phase 2 efficacy study for people with severe anxiety and depression. And it just had outstanding results, essentially. For like for 6 months, no one was taking their medications, their antidepressants, so their selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the ones that make you go do malls and shoot kids.
Yep.
Those ones. Yeah. So none of them felt the need to go back to their medications. And that's just one single dose, which obviously when the client's reporting that back to us is fantastic news. It blew my mind. It was just incredible. So I went on a bit of a mushroom journey then myself and tried them and have enjoyed refreshing and almost restoring my mind through mushroom therapy. It's like a reset, but with extra additional drive and focus.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
a surreal experience, and everyone should be taking recreational amounts of mushrooms at least once in their life, just for the experience. I mean, I'm writing about my book at the moment, Meredith, and I was talking about how I grew up absolutely terrified of drugs like marijuana, MDMA, mushrooms, didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
Because I just thought they were dangerous. We've just fed this mushrooms danger,
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm doing, fall off a cliff. People thought, all these stories that you hear, it's anything but.
Yeah.
You're so calm, you're at peace.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be further from the truth. I'm taking mushrooms. And the first time I took them, I'll never forget it. It was I was camping in woods in Northamptonshire in the UK. And just walking through the woods, and the canopy just turned into like a cathedral above me. It was beautiful. Just looked like a fresco painting. The canopy did, like I was indoor. It's almost like the trees have encased me. It was just beautiful, just to walk around with nature. And then you wake up the next morning, no hangover.
Yeah.
Because and you're fresh and you're revitalized with a love for life again.
Yeah. Well, and they're detoxing. I mean, and you can speak more to this than I can, but they're detoxifying. Literally, they're detoxifying your body, not only on a physical level, but on an emotional, spiritual level. That's part of why there's no hangover, because you haven't damaged yourself. You've actually detoxed, which I think is part of why it's crazy that you said 5 milligrams. 5. That's it. That's so.
That's pure psilocybin. So this is not. Yeah, that's not just. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, it's a microdose. But even I think it could be a great place for people to start in just the world of microdosing.
Yeah.
To get the benefits without going on a full journey if you're not necessarily ready. I just find it fascinating how much they teach us. They've taught me so much, and I'm curious to know what you guys saw on a clinical level that allows people to shift out of like depression so quickly.
Well, I think from describing that, it was difficult because the amount of testing and when you're not expecting the results like that, you can't design a clinical protocol to do certain tests retrospectively. Once a protocol's set, you kind of to go along with it. But I think that there should have surely been a questionnaire from the volunteers, and most of them said they just felt like they had their brains rewired. So those dark feelings, those dark thoughts were no longer entering. But maybe it's like a detox from kind of demonic aspects as well, potentially. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a weight off their mind.
Yeah. Yeah. The mycelium, we find that's what we become, what our bodies become when we die, what planets are made of, what the stars, what everything in our reality, our universe is made of. So of course there's like literal universal wisdom just in the physicality of mushrooms. It's kind of crazy to me how much like it reminded me when you said you saw the canopy of the trees as a cathedral. It's like we go so many other places for answers outside of nature, but it's right there. They're all
Mm.
literally Mother Nature knows it all. Why do we even go
Yeah.
anywhere else?
Absolutely. And that's the message I was trying to get across from my marketing for exactly that. All these pharmaceutical drugs derived from something they've discovered in nature. Oh, we can add a chemical group to this and then make millions of pounds or millions of dollars. It's all it is. And I'm kicking myself. It took me 18 years to realize that, Meredith. But, that's a measure of the level of indoctrination you have to go through for academia from the Rockefeller aspect and the whole degree in university. Anyone who goes through a degree at university is fully indoctrinated, unfortunately, and more so than others. There's that aspect. And then, you just like to trust people.
Yeah.
I'm quite a trusting person.
Yeah.
Trusted farmer. And I used to be scared of the FDA, actually, Meredith. Believe it or not. I used to fear them. No, I'm not obviously scared. When they were coming to audit us, in my junior days, I was like, no, I don't really want them coming in when I'm doing something in the lab. They had that kind of presence over me.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, want to tread on them.
But you go to jail. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, come at me. Yeah. Oh my
God.
God.
Compared to them now, but yeah, they have that presence, that fear.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one. The businesses, and they go into audit prep mode for weeks and weeks to make sure, trying to get the house in order. So they obviously put on this big charade, and actually they're just a bunch of crooks.
Dude, and they're small. It's such a small group of people. That's what fucking gets me too. It's like, it's got such a small group of people running this whole show that you are a giant. We are giants. It's the truth. You just connected to the truth. You are a giant compared to them because they are literally, not only is it actually a very small group of people, it's all based on illusion. They're small inside. They need other people's belief in them to even exist. They need that. They can't just exist as they are because it's all a house of cards. And it's like and I feel like what's coming is a wave of everyone realizing that, connecting back to their own authority as people. Like, I have dominion and authority over my body, over what I do with it, over my behavior, over my free will choices, over my money, right? Over all of these things. Anyone else saying that you don't talk is so cheap. Yeah, it's tyrannical. Yeah.
No matter what level it is. Yeah. Even if it's doesn't have to be a politician.
Right. So if you need a visual break, I want to talk about today's sponsors. Oh, by the way, it's me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I created this show. I created this show because I have lived it. I faced my shit and healed myself by unraveling all of the medical and pharmaceutical lies I had been told about my endometriosis, and was able to heal myself after 17 years of debilitating pain. My experience inspired me to literally live my art. So not only did I create this podcast you're listening to right now, I first created an ongoing art series about it called Every Phase. All of the artwork you see in my clips and within this episode is from my Every Phase series, which will span for 13 years. The pieces illustrate how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. So the artwork shows what's happening in the brain and the body during each phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life. This episode is paired with I'll Be Back from the Dead Soon, piece number 61 from my Every Phase series and the first follicular phase piece of this new year. This work is built from a material contradiction. Cyanotype, born from sunlight and presence, collides with Vanta black paint that absorbs nearly all light. One reveals, one conceals.
Together, they hold the essence of what Andrew and I explore. That healing requires the willingness to enter what you cannot see. The gold leaf marking the threshold between light and shadow represents what becomes available when we finally break the cycle of denial. When you can love what is unwanted in yourself, you hold the power. When you cannot, it holds you. This is a limited release. Both the original and a rare artist proof are available. Collect it with the link in the show notes.
The therapeutic side of mushrooms isn't just depression and anxiety. We've got a wide range of benefits. Turkey tail, I've had great joy with turkey tail and cancer. It's amazing.
Wow.
So,
For cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I think with the ivermectin and the whole parasite conversation around cancer too, I think it's coming up more now on the mainstream.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a bit bad, and I am a bit of a hypocrite from one respect, in that I say I started my own natural remedy business. Obviously, ivermectin and fenbendazole are still two drugs, but one, they weren't regulated in the UK, so that allowed me to buy MHRA, so that allowed me to source them and obviously offer them to people. And two, the data for cancer is just pretty mind blowing. So I got them for people struggling with cancer, but it was an easier sell to people than taking black walnut, clove, wormwood, which are the typical natural parasite cleansers.
Yeah.
You know? If I was to go up to, again, we're talking about the impact of the medical establishment's had and the authority of doctors. Trying to convince someone to take some wormwood, clove, and black walnut over chemo and radiotherapy is a hard sell. It's tough. Unless they're that way inclined already, you're not gonna win that battle. But whereas ivermectin and fenbendazole was a kind of a bridge in between, there were still drugs, obviously not specifically for cancer, and a lot better for you than chemotherapy and radiotherapy from a side effect perspective, and not going to cause massive organ failure. So it was morally, I could handle that, supplying fenbendazole and ivermectin. It was still, I took the positives that I was having such a positive impact on people from a cancer perspective. But I didn't really want to supply them, but so many people were asking for them. And I think I was the only person in the UK who had a supply of, a bulk drug substance supply. They had about 1 kilo of each. Well, and that was that in Derbyshire Police Station, but not the rest of my stuff. Well, people are dropping dead with cancer. That's the annoying thing. It's just, thank you, Gestapo police force in the UK. I could be healing more people. But
well, let's actually chat about that. Let's chat about your line with Live 5D Health. Some of your product. Because you have magnesia. Well, what are you currently offering with Live 5D Health?
So that we had, before I was brought to a halt, we had 3 products launched. We had the Lugol's iodine, we had the magnesia, and my Spike Detox nasal spray formulation. So they're all made. Partnership's gone really well, and we had hopes to extend the product line quite a lot with some vitamin D3, K2. What else we're going to do? Some peptide products. So it took off, and just as we were starting to get things going, obviously it came to a halt. But the products are great. They're all infused with frequencies, healing frequencies. They're made with structured water as well. So for people who, so before I manufacture them, I vortex them in a vessel with magnets surrounding the vessel to create an electromagnetic field, and that structures the water. And then I infuse I've got a heel flux frequency machine that infuses frequencies into the water as well, because water has memory and it takes on the healing frequency. So the magnesium is, I think, towards 7.4. Lugol's is 7.41 because it's your third eye chakra, and the detox was 5.28, the spray.
Yeah.
That's just detoxing the soul frequency. That. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and they're the 3 products that are launched now. So you can go at Live 5D's website and you can, well, I think the nasal sprays sold out, but you can certainly get the iodine and the magnesium bottles still. But that's the plan for me now after my little, whatever this, little sabbatical, I guess, a little hiatus, a little recharge for me to come back again, ready to rise again.
Yeah.
Back with Mark, hopefully, and
Yeah.
get manufacturing products again and extend the product range. And the guys there have got a great facilities. They've got all frequency healing kits, red light therapy, even the steam room, the water that comes through the steam is structured water with frequency infused. They've thought about everything. It's a real top, best in class facility and they do retreats as well. And he's just secured investment to buy a hotel. So he's going to turn this beautiful, I think it's Georgia Manor House just across in Boyle in Ireland into a wellness retreat and have
Wow.
frequency machines in bedrooms so people can sleep with healing frequencies playing. It's how healthcare should be. And I think me and Mark have kind of connected. I knew Mark previously, not too well. I met him at a book launch for one of the UK doctor, David Cartland. If you're familiar with him, he's another doctor he spoke out in the UK that's been struck off by the medical board here. So I met him there. But we've really, really clicked, I think, in our approach for what we wanted to do. I'm big into my frequencies now and realizing everything's energy and frequency, and we can heal ourselves just through playing a certain, bells, for example. I just want to get rid of all the bells. And so that's where I envisage health going in the future. And usually people, your nuns will be saying, no, we've got med beds. I'm sure. Yes, they listen to this, but until that point, if that point ever arises,
Right.
frequency healing kit can make a big difference. So that's the way I see healthcare going. We won't be taking pills in the future.
Right.
We'll be going back into our cathedrals that are healing or pyramids. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with the pyramids over in Bosnia that have just opened up to tourists, but there's a huge one that all around the world. But this one apparently is bigger than the Great Pyramid in Giza. And a good friend of mine was telling me that someone with COPD went into the pyramids and came out basically cured because the frequency is so healing inside that all the inflammation and restriction in his lungs just dissipated within a short time frame. So it's just go and live in a pyramid.
Right.
That's essentially what they were. They're power stations, but they were healing centers as well. So
that's wild. I mean, that's the truth. It's the truth. I've heard
safer
people
than the hospital.
Totally. Oh my God. The hospital is like the most toxic place on earth.
Killing fields, I call them.
Yeah.
Killing fields. They're not swinging babies round trees' head, swinging babies around trees, but they are essentially killing fields, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If the jab isn't going to get you, whoever does the real will get you.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on that. What would you say people that have forcibly been jabbed, had to take the jab, had to take one of the surrounding toxic products, what would you recommend?
I want to take this time to thank you for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself by listening to this show. Because this is more than just a podcast. This is a movement, and a necessary one if you've looked around at the world today. If you want to live the movement or you want to go deeper into your healing journey, I've pulled together everything I wish that I would have had. So practical tools, longevity and biohacking resources, insights, pain relief tips, healing practices, all the things most doctors won't tell you about, into one beautifully designed free ebook. Inside, you'll learn how to work with your cycle or with your body instead of fighting against it, what the mainstream gets wrong about PMS, endometriosis, and hormonal health, why pain is a messenger, not a malfunction, plus curated direct links with all of the juicy,
golden episodes that started it all. Whether you're navigating chronic illness, endometriosis, burnout, or hormonal chaos, this free guide will help you start reclaiming your power, your body, and your truth. Download it instantly when you subscribe to my Substack newsletter, where I share raw stories, healing artwork, and I write a badass email. Where should they start as far as, should they start with Live 5D Health with detoxification, or where should they start as far as looking for answers and how to like detox from all of this?
I think first and foremost, making peace with yourself, forgiving yourself, doing it is a massive part of the process. You will not heal until you make peace with yourself and forgive yourself for doing it. Then I would say start with a fast, big 72-hour water only with Celtic sea salt or electrolytes fast, and just reset your immune system. And then see where you are after that. Yeah, that might be enough for some people to alleviate their symptoms. I know fasting is probably the best way. But then diet, drink and structured water and hydrogen water. It's not hard. It's all about shit, pardon my language, but shit in, shit out, If you could take all these steps, but if you're still going down Mackie B's to get a Big Mac and fries, and it's the same with drinking tap water at home. If you're still drinking tap water, stop. You need to get on structured water and healthy mineralized water to help flush out these toxins and bring your cells back to life, essentially, because we're just a biological battery, really. Our bodies are, and we just need topping up with salt every now and then.
Yeah.
Pineapple is good for people who've had the jab. Drink lots of pineapple juice, eat pineapples, natto kinase is an enzyme that will provides help. Again, I question marks about taking it orally because it's an enzyme that goes into your stomach, and then how much of that actually gets made available to work in your blood, I would question. But it seems to be having. That's why I developed a nasal spray for it, because then it bypasses your stomach. Gets straight into your blood. So that's one of the USPs of the nasal spray.
Nice.
Because the stomach is just full of acid, and enzymes don't like acid environments, so you're damaging it before it's even getting into the body. And it's huge as well. And the gut wall can't absorb them. So anyway, I digress. Bowling, natto kinase, structured water, grounding, going out, walking barefoot 20 minutes a day. Yeah, avoiding EMFs as much as possible, because that really impacts people who've had the jab. Which is full of whatever that graphene, nanotech, or fill, heavy metals. It doesn't sit well. They vibrate in your body and create fevers. Well, that's what I think. Personally, that's what I think COVID was in the first place, just EMF sickness. I don't think there was a virus. Personally.
I can see that.
Yeah. If you look at the symptoms for EMF, it's sore throat, headache, loss of taste, loss of smell, body aches.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. Weird anxiety as well with EMF that just weird shit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think gone down one rabbit hole where they can manipulate behaviors through EMF radiation frequencies. So who knows I dread to think what these monsters get up to that we don't know about. Imagine what we do know about is bad enough. Well, it's for me and you. So imagine what else we don't know about. It's probably enough to make your skin crawl.
Yeah. Well, I think the amount that we know is it's really all you need to know. So because it's just infinite. It's basically, it's like how much more beyond doing these satanic rituals on children and cutting body parts off and rape and all. It's like it's the Luciferian experiment. It's like, how far can we go with trying to create a reality that's just free will without love. And you can't, because what they haven't woken up to is that it's all love. You can't escape it, which is why they live in a perpetual state of self-loathing, because you cannot escape that which you are. So they have to then feed off of other people that are connected to the oneness, to source, to love, and all of that. And that's, that's the spiritual war we're in. It's all loosh wars. It's all a war for your energy and your attention. And you control that. We control that. We can win this. Like, with people like you bringing awareness to the work you're doing, it's not even like you have to be like balls out and go get arrested. Like, you get, like, hell yeah, you did. But
It's spray paint the doctor's surgery, yeah.
You can simply stand for the truth. You can simply stand for who you are. You can simply walk away. You can simply not give them your attention, your energy. That's what they want. They love the drama. The drama gives them importance because they're so small. There's just no other importance without that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to do that very much so recently with the court case for my access to see my daughter. I just said, I'm not going. It's not because I don't love my daughter or want to see her. It's because I'm not playing in your system and I'm not committing any of my energies to you. I sent them a statement, which I suggested they read out, basically listing how I felt the justice system in the UK had been completely collapsed. Well, I think I sent it to you, didn't I, Meredith? How the whole justice system had collapsed, and then listed out my version of events. And there you go. I don't want to be part of this, because as soon as you start getting angry and frustrated, that's exactly what they want.
That's what they want.
You're vibrating low, and then impacts others around you. So it's just a negative spiral. Whereas if we just don't acknowledge them, it's the best way. Just try. It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's taken me 5 years to realize.
It's very hard. And it's not condoning and just turning the other cheek. It's saying no. But it's saying no in a way where you're not giving over your power, like how we're saying. We're just, I think, a great way, which I don't know that it'll ever happen, but I hope that it happens this year. Stop fucking fueling them. Stop paying them.
Stop paying
How
tax,
is all of this?
Absolutely. It seems simple, doesn't it? I say this conversation, and there's still people in the UK paying council tax, and I can write you one letter, and then you won't have to pay it again. And it's like, but they'll come and invest me, or they'll take my car. It's just step back the fear. They're just not willing. Once you stop funding, all they care about is money. If you take their money away, they can't send planes up to spray poison in the sky. They can't pay for biolabs in Ukraine. You've got to stop them. That's our only weapon, really. It's non-compliance.
Totally.
So that's all we can get. So do it. If you want to survive, do it. It's not about worrying about getting arrested anymore. It's just simple fact of life and death. But we're there. And your children's futures, if you've got kids.
And we can, because there's so many more of us. That's the winning key too, is we outnumber this toxicity. Like, so it's only the belief. You shift your belief. You no longer view them as the villain because you're not a victim. And you get out of the drama triangle of villain, victim, rescuer. You're sovereign and free. And that's what every single person can do. And it's part of awakening. It's part of what's going to happen in this year of the fire horse. Regardless, it's a wave coming. I'd like to talk about next, speaking of health awakenings, the best part of the show, the biohacking with art question. Are you ready?
I think so.
We covered a lot. We covered a lot. The show's getting good now. My popcorn's been refreshed. Now. Okay. If you could turn your health awakening out of the slumber of the bought and paid for scientific community into a work of art, what would you create? What materials would you use? And how would you want people to feel standing in front of it?
Okay.
Can be any medium.
I'm gonna go with a piece of music and a piano piece.
Okay.
And it would be me and my daughter playing.
Love.
Because she's just been my absolute rock and strength through all this. Without her, I wouldn't be here now. So she would have to be involved somehow. She's learning piano now at school and having lessons and taking her exams. So we could do a piece together. I'm fairly useful on the piano these days. So yeah, it would be a calming piece. And somehow, how do you portray integrity through a piece of music? But yeah, a calming piece of piano music that involves solos from both myself and my daughter. And I just want people to feel at ease and at peace. I think that's probably the best answer I could give, because I'm not an artist by any stretch. I'm a scientist. So
I love that.
I'll go to my music.
Well, this is where I love the answer. Art and science, that's a lot of music, a lot of math involved in music. And that's this show, art and science together. And that's science and spirituality coming together is what we're witnessing in the world where they were never really supposed to be separate to begin with. They're, it's all part of one holistic understanding. I love that answer that she gave. So would it be like a duet? And then you have your, okay, cool. Would it be like a live performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With an
Okay.
audience. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
part of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And I think it's important that we have our own pieces as well, because she's had her interpretation. She's had to deal and take a lot on a young girl's shoulders. There was a 10-year-old going through this with what's happened to her dad and my mom and dad. So she's had a lot to take on as well. Bless her. She's actually a warrior though. She shoots about the place with no care in the world. So yeah, it would be great to do a piece with her. But I think it's on the cards anyway. But this question's definitely inspired me to send her some music to learn.
Oh, totally. Totally. We'll be on the lookout for your next hit single, Duet.
Ooh,
That's
I'll do
going to be
that.
great. Yes. Well, it's been absolutely phenomenal, magical, bloody good chat with you today. Tell us where people can find you. Where I know you left social media, which I completely understand and agree, as I have left. I'm still on YouTube, and Substack, but pretty much everywhere else. So where can they learn more about your products, about you?
So I'm happy to share my personal email if anyone wants to reach out about treating autism or cancer after family members.
Perfect.
Please do. I will happily give lots of advice to you without consultation fees. I don't want any money or anything like that. I just want to help people. So I'll pass that on to you, Meredith.
Yeah.
I am still on X, but I don't use it really. But my handle's Farmer SNE 1984. But yeah, I'm available via email. I don't have a Telegram page for the business anymore. I was just to go through a rebranding and build a new website. That's not live either yet. So I don't really have much of a presence. You can find videos of me in different podcasts I've done on YouTube. So if you search my name, you'll find other pieces of information. I actually did a few podcasts myself on Rumble as well. So, but yeah, I'm not a big social media person. That's not me. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
Just rant and rave in my kitchen.
Just living the dream, living the truth, right?
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is freeing knowing the truth. It's hard, but it's also a massive weight off your shoulders.
Yeah. And it's all there is. It's all there is. It's all there is.
Yeah.
Everything else, it's like, yeah, so why
As long
not
as you
get
want
on
to live a
board?
lie. Yeah. Don't live a lie. Please don't live a lie. If anyone's watching this who's on the fence, just come across, join us.
Yeah. Throw your hat over. Being on the fence
Yeah.
hurts. Throw your
Yeah.
hat over. Jump over the fence. It's a whole new world over there. And we will totally list all of these resources we chatted about today and more in the show notes. I hope I know everyone will be able to take away something from this clarifying conversation today to help them go out, face their shit, therefore healing themselves. And remember, as always, as we've just discussed, the truth will set you free. We will see you all next time. Bye. If you like this episode, or if you think this show would be useful for someone else, the best way you can show your support is to share it on your social media outlets with family and friends, or leave a review on podchaser.com, comment on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. You can also pick up a signed copy of my book, Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself. Thank you so much for listening and for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself.